Well, welcome back to our next edition of Hello World with Mike Cara, as we are here in Ocoee, Florida, USA, planet Earth. And my guest today is Ron Campbell, who's a great singer, songwriter, musician, performer. He is from Powell River, British Columbia. And Ron is from Ron Campbell and the Blues Busters, a 1940s style jump blues band from the west coast of Canada. And Ron, it's such a pleasure and honor that you could join me today and tell us all about, jump blues and the blues lifestyle and vintage blues and, a little bit about, your career. And first of all, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about, your background and how you got involved in all of this?
Well, thank you, Mike, for having me on the show. And yeah, it's this terrific opportunity to get to talk to some different people that I guess I don't usually get to talk with. Yeah, I guess the main thing to say about me is I'm kind of the Energizer Bunny of blues music. I started doing this when I was 14 years old. And I turned 70 this year, so I'm just the guy that keeps going and going and going and going.
Oh, great. So yeah, we want to talk, all about this jump blues, and I'm really excited that we're able to get the music. It's fantastic, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So you call this a 1940 style jump blues. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how it differs maybe from other blues, Chicago blues or American blues? Or
Sure. Okay, well, jump blues, I guess probably the main difference between jump blues and other kinds of blues that you'd hear, jump blues has got a little bit more of a jazz element in it, okay? Unlike, let's say, the very early Delta blues, which was usually, that was, one guy with a guitar. And unlike let's say, the Chicago blues, or even modern blues rock, which is mostly a guitar-driven type of music, electric guitar and drums and so on, jump blues usually was played with a horn section. There usually be a saxophone or two, or some trombones or trumpets in the band, and was a little bit more sophisticated and had a little bit more of that jazz type of feel in it. Okay, which is something that's always appealed to me. Mind you, having said that, the other styles of blues that I just mentioned, like the old style Delta blues and Chicago blues and Texas blues and modern blues rock, I love all of those too. But the jump blues is one that really appeals to me a lot, because I like dressing it up a little bit with a little bit more of that jazz feel.
So, I mean, I listen to the music. So, I mean, there's kind of a similarity between this and kind of American big band a little bit, or?
Yeah, definitely there would be a link to that. In the 1940s was when this stuff was really kind of popular, when it really took off. Guys like T-Bone Walker and Louis Jordan, they would take those old blues forms, that the classic 12-bar blues that we all know and love, and they dressed it up a little bit with some horns and some, like I said, that jazzy feel to it. And yeah, it really is quite similar to the big band stuff. I guess the difference would be, between jump blues and big band, it didn't stray too far away. It didn't get too far over into the jazz field. If for the most part, it retained that 12-bar blues pattern and just kind of put some jazz elements in there. And that's really kind of what I like. Not so much pure jazz or what you'd call hardcore jazz, but just kind of right on that dividing line between blues and jazz. That's for me, that's where the sweet spot happens.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we want to, talk a little bit about, your music, Ron. So you had mentioned that you write a lot of this music. So I mean, my question is, do you do a lot of the standards, or is what you do write original like music in this genre, or?
Well, it's both, Mike. Certainly, I do a lot of covers. And like everybody, everybody when they start out, that's what they do, right? Is you hear those records and you try and learn, gee, I wish I could play just like that, and you start learning that stuff. But then as the years have gone by, I've started writing my own stuff as well. And so now when I perform, it's probably a 50-50 mix. I'll do the covers, but then I'll do a lot of my own originals too. And the originals that I write, I try to write them in that in the old blues or jump blues kind of a feeling to them. And even the covers that I do, most of the time I don't play a song exactly like I heard it on the record. I try and kind of come up with my own arrangement and put my own little spin on it. Lots of times I'll do a cover of a non-blues song. Oh, here's a good example. Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen, a well-known song by another Canadian songwriter, and everybody's heard that. When I do it, I kind of put a little blues in it, which is different than definitely different than the way that Leonard Cohen or Katie Lang did it. But that kind of makes it my own thing.
Oh, great. So, Ron, for you, you mentioned that you were write to these original songs. So, is there, a certain process? I mean, is there, some insight you could share as far as how you, like you said, you want them kind of that authentic 40s jump style. So, I mean, is there a good way you start or come up with ideas, or?
Good question. Ideas can come from a lot of different places, and that, that's the hardest part of writing this music is coming up with the idea or getting a good idea of something to write about. The music part is actually not that hard. It's once you get a lyric idea, I can usually put some music to it, especially since most things that I write are some kind of a variation on that 12-bar blues form. So that's a very I mean that form has been written already. So I'm just kind of borrowing and adapting that. As far as getting lyric ideas, it's the same thing that all songwriters say. I'll hear somebody make a remark, or I'll look at a situation, or even think of a little phrase, and that I'll think, you know what, I could turn that into a song. A lot of times I do like the Nashville guys. Like a big thing in country songwriting is to take a well-known phrase and kind of turn it around, and I do that in a few of my songs. Like there's one that's a song of mine called "Just the Same," and yeah, I kind of take that phrase, where we say, would you like some cake? Oh no, thanks, just the same. And I took that phrase and kind of made it go in a little bit different direction.
Okay, so I mean, for you, so I mean, do you usually, we see the guitar back there, do you usually use the guitar as your main instrument to get just melodies down? Is that how it works, or?
Kind of, yeah. Guitar, I guess my main instrument would be, it's a pretty even split between guitar and piano. So it just kind of depends, you know, whether I'm if I'm in the room where I've got the guitar sitting right beside me here, that'll be the instrument that I play on. Otherwise, if I'm closer to the piano, I'll sit down and figure out what I want to do on the piano.
So, I mean, for you, Ron, when you get these, you know, ideas down and the music down, I mean, are you thinking, you know, just to get the core, you know, the kind of the, you know, skeleton of the song and then later put in all the horns and all the different parts? Or, I mean, when you're writing a song, do you get ideas too about that?
No, it's exactly the way you said the first time there, Mike. It's pretty much, I like to get what I call the bones of the song, you know, and get that down. And then once I've got that, then the other ideas will come to me about, you know, we could have a horn section come in here, or we could have the, you know, the Hammond organ come and play a solo here. But there's a saying among songwriters that any song that you can't play with an acoustic guitar beside the campfire, it's not really a real song, you know. And I'm a firm believer in that. You know, all the stuff that you can do in the studio and the overdubbing and the special effects, that's great. But to me, all those special effects, that's not the song. That's the icing on the cake, right? It's the, you know, what you can do on a piano or an acoustic guitar with the bones of the song. That's the cake that the icing sits on.
So for you, Ron, is there a lot of changes? Like you get a song down. I mean, from when you get a song down till you go into the studio, is there a lot of changes, or you usually stick with the lyrics and the general melodies? Or
Songs, they tend to evolve over time. Okay, for me, what usually works best, I get that song written, and then it's when I start to play it live in front of people. And each time you play it, it kind of evolves a little bit. And after a few months of playing it for people, then it's when it's in its final form. Now, I've done that in the past, get the song written and then right away go into the studio and record it. But then I find, you know, as subsequently to that, as I start to play it live, the song will change. So I end up in a situation where there's a record out there, you know, that I've made of this song, and yet the way that I play it now is different than I played it on the record because of that kind of organic process of the song evolving and changing over time.
okay, Ron. So I want to talk about these nice songs our radio and our podcast, audio podcast listeners are listening to. And if you don't mind giving us a little maybe backstory or insight into them. The first
Sure.
one is The Blues is a Friend of Mine. Can you tell us about this one?
Okay. The idea and most of the song was written where a lot of songs are written. I was on my way home. I'm driving home from an out-of-town gig, and driving is a great time for writing, I find. I just started getting this idea, and what it's about is us blues players have to deal with this little preconception that people have about the blues. People hear the word blues, and if they're not kind of educated or don't know, they think, oh, blues, that means this slow, mournful, terribly boring music, you know, that's all about heartbreak and sad stuff, and who wants to listen to that? And so us blues players and blues lovers are constantly trying to educate people. Hey, no, you know what? There's lots of blues songs that are upbeat and have a real positive feel to them, and they rock. You know, blues doesn't have to be slow and boring at all. And so that's what I was talking about in the lyrics of the song. You know, that the blues is a friend of mine. It's not like I have to play this terribly sad, dreary music. No, it feels good to play this stuff. And you know what? It's going to feel good for you to listen to it too. The blues is a friend of mine.
Okay, and now another song, we mentioned this earlier, but you could tell us more about it. Just the Same. Can you tell us about this one?
Okay, well, again, I got that idea. Let's see, how do the lyrics go? It starts out with that phrase, just the same, which is kind of a way of saying, you know, no, thank you. Okay, I don't want it. Thanks, just the same. I thought you could make a song about, it's a relationship song, right? Like so many songs are. And it's about somebody who has gone through a breakup, and now his ex wants to get back together. And the guy singing the song is saying, no, you know what? I went through all that heartache with you last time we were together, and I know that if I let you come back into my life, things are going to be just the same as they were before. You know, you're still going to do all those things that were so bad and hurtful to me. So it would be just the same. So thanks, just the same.
Okay, and let's see here. Another song is The Main Event. Can you tell us about this one?
Yeah, The Main Event, that was the title song of the last CD that I recorded with my band. Back when CDs were still a thing. That seems to have ended now. And again, I just thought, what about a song just saying, it's kind of, I thought this would be a good song for, the first song of the night, if you're playing a concert or a club or something like that, just to kind of say, hey, we've got a great show for you, and this is the main event. This is it right here. You don't have to wait anymore. This is it, and it's going to be really special. And the lyrics are like that. It starts out talking about getting ready to go out and hear this band. Pimp your stockings and shine your shoes, grab some glitter and get a shot of good booze. This is the main event, baby. Here you are.
Great, Ron. Okay, so those are those songs. So I understand, Ron, that you've written, you've produced a lot of albums. I mean, how many albums in your career would you say you've put out there then?
I think there's 5 CDs. Let's see, I got to count them up now. The first one was A Skinny Old White Man Sings the Blues. And then there was Pure Blues Guy. Then there was Live Plus One. That was a live album. There was In the Wind. Then there was Bust Out, and The Main Event. Six CDs that I've put out, either by myself or with the band.
Okay, Ron. So we want to talk a little bit, about your performing. So right now, I'm not sure as far as Canada goes, is things getting back to normal, or restrictions easing up on performing for live events? Or
yeah, they definitely are, and thank goodness for that. Here in our little corner of the world, we've done pretty good here in British Columbia. Most people are vaccinated now, and our numbers are way down. of COVID cases. And so, yeah, the restrictions have opened up, and especially it's been because it's summertime. It's an appropriate time to have outdoor gigs, and that's mostly what's happening. We're still not kind of doing too many indoor gigs, but everything is opened up for outdoor gigs. So like I have a steady dinner gig just as a solo. There's a restaurant that I play at every weekend, and out on their patio there. And that's really nice. Play out in the sunshine, overlooking the water, and yeah, it's been really great after a year of playing to a computer camera. It's really nice to get out and play to faces that I can actually see them looking back at me. And of course, it's the other way for the audience too. People are just so happy to be able to be out and seeing some live music again. That it's a pretty positive thing. So we're hoping that that things continue to be trending in the right direction as far as people's COVID safety, so that when the cooler weather comes and outdoor gigs are no longer appropriate, we're hoping that by that time things will be opened up so that we can have our regular, bar gigs and nightclub gigs and pub gigs and that kind of thing.
Okay, Ron. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about, where you perform. We mentioned you're from Powell River, British Columbia. I understand a very beautiful area. Now, as far as the opportunities there, is there opportunities in your local area or surrounding area, or do you have to drive to Vancouver?
You know what, Mike? I'm a really lucky guy, and I'll tell you why. First of all, I think that there's lots of guys in the world that are just like me, guys that come from some little town, okay, that most of the world has never heard of, and hey, I'm well aware that most of the world has never heard of me either. I never got famous, never got on American Idol or any of those things. But I think there's lots of guys like me just slugging away in the trenches in obscurity, but still doing a pretty great job. I flatter myself that I do a good job with music. And I feel I'm really lucky to live in a small town and still be able to make a living playing music without going out of town. Now, in days past, when I was a little younger, I used to do a lot of, I was on the road a lot and did have to travel around to get gigs. Now that I'm a little older, it's very seldom that I have to go out of town. There's enough work for me right here in our own little town that I can keep as busy as I need to be. And it's nice, it's nice to be able to still be fully involved and have a real live music career and be fully involved in music, and yet I still get to have a family and a home and a real life, like so many musicians don't get to have that. It's a lot of times it's choose between having a life and or having a music career. So yeah, I feel like I'm a pretty lucky guy.
Okay, Ron. So I want to talk a little bit about, your social media and, your Facebook and that. But I mean, so for you, so you've been doing this, for a few years. I mean, right now, I mean, do you think that all this social media and this internet is really helping? I mean, through the pandemic, I mean, there wasn't that, live connection, but did you think it was a good alternative?
Oh, definitely. I think that, Mike. I mean, the other thing that I do besides playing music, I also teach music. I give one-on-one music lessons during the week, and that's a big part of my gig as well. Now, at the same time that the live gigs suddenly got shut off, you know, having music lessons, one-on-one music lessons in a little music studio, that got shut off at the same time. And so I kind of made the decision at that time, well, I guess I better start trying to figure out how to do this, these live broadcasts and as well as live music lessons over Zoom. And it was a challenge, you know, for a guy of my generation to kind of master that technology and figure out how to make it work, you know, because I'm from the generation that's really not totally at home with all that stuff. But yeah, I'm glad I did it, because otherwise it would have been a year and a half of just doing nothing. And that's, for me, that's not on the table. I need to be making that connection with my students and with my audience. So yeah, in that sense, the social media thing was, it was a godsend, and I'm glad that we were able to do it, you know. Having said that, I will say that, well, what I always say, Zoom is firmly in the category of better than nothing. But you know, it's definitely not as good as the real thing. You know what though? It's kind of cool. Like here I am up on a little town on the west coast of Canada, talking to you in Florida, and through you, anybody in around the globe that cares to tune into this, you know. So it's nice to be able to make those connections that just wouldn't ever happen in person. So yeah, I'm really grateful for that part of the whole internet / social media thing.
Okay, Ron, so can you tell us, so do you have a website then?
Yeah, I have a website. It's ronc.net. But nowadays, I'm more active on my Facebook page, which is Facebook / Ron Campbell Music. That's the site that I'm kind of active on and updating and putting new stuff on every day. And so, you know, if anybody is interested in finding out any more about me, that's the place to go, is Facebook / Ron Campbell Music.
Oh, okay. So now, as far as the music goes, we appreciate the 3 freebies. But if people would like to get all these 5 CDs and purchase that, they can go to your website, or how do they get them all?
They can get them from the website, yeah, or there's links on my Facebook Ron Campbell Music page, or there, if you just search for them in any of the usual places, you know, like Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, all the, like any place that you would buy digital music has all my stuff on there. So yeah, it's definitely out there.
Oh, great. Okay, Ron. So as far as you, you know, and the Blues Busters, I mean, do you have anything immediately planned, or I mean, any big shows, or?
Yeah, we've got a few things coming up. We've already done a couple of backyard garden party type of gigs this summer, and we're booked for a few things. We've got a New Year's gig next New Year's, which is of course, New Year's, that's a big time for musicians. You know, that's usually their biggest gig of the year, is that New Year's Eve celebration. And we didn't have that last year, so we're kind of in withdrawals over that. So I'm really glad that we've got a New Year's gig booked at the Powell River Legion. And let's see, we've also got an Oktoberfest coming up at the, again, at the Legion here in Powell River in BC. There's a couple of things that are probably going to be happening at the Powell River Academy of Music, which that's the place where I teach my lessons, but also they do live music events. And there's a couple of things that are going to be going on there in late summer and fall that are not totally firmed up yet, but you know, people that want to find out about that, again, as soon as info is available, I'll have that up on my Facebook/Ron Campbell Music page.
Oh, okay, yeah, we look forward to that. Okay, Ron, yeah, we really, oh yeah, one question I wanted to ask you, as you know, you mentioned about New Year's. So I mean,
Yeah.
as far as like holiday shows, I mean, do you do anything like that with holiday songs in the, you know, the 40s style jump blues, or?
Yeah, definitely for Christmas we do, you know, we really bring out, because there's lots of great jump blues and blues type Christmas songs. So we'll do all, you know, the Charles Brown, Please Come Home for Christmas. Of course, the, you know, who's the guy? Bobby Marks, Jingle Bell Rock, you know. Christmas is a big time for bands and for live music. So we, you know, we definitely do all those in our repertoire.
Okay, Ron, yeah, we appreciate your time, and we encourage, if anyone is, you know, happens to be traveling in the Vancouver area, what do you like, 40 miles from there, or?
Yeah, we're about 80 miles from Vancouver. However, you can't just drive there. It's a 5-hour trip from Vancouver to here, because of the fact that you know, we're right on the coast of BC, and therefore, you know, there's all these inlets and stretches of water that you have to take ferries across. So it's a fairly significant trip. But yeah, if people are in the Powell River area, they should. If you're a blues lover and you're anywhere near the Powell River area, you should come and check me out. The other thing I wanted to say, Mike, about you know, I mentioned that in March 2020, I started doing these virtual concerts, as I call them, Facebook live streams, and I've done. I'm up to 32 of those that I've done now, because I've done them every couple of weeks, and all of those are archived on Facebook. So again, if you go to my Facebook page and just search for videos, you'll see that all of those live videos are on my Facebook page. Each show is about 45 minutes of music, and of course those are free to watch, but there's a link to a virtual tip jar on there. So you know, if people felt that they wanted to slip a 5 in the jar, hey, I certainly wouldn't say no.
Okay, Ron, any final thoughts or anything else you'd like to mention here?
No, I don't think so, Mike. I just, you know, I love the blues, and I hope that other people will check it out and find out how much fun it is and what great music it is. And I hope that we'll get to see you somewhere down the road.
Okay, that sounds great. And Ron, if you could give your website and Facebook one final time, please.
Okay, the website is www.ronc.net. That's for Ron Campbell, so ronc.net. And the Facebook page is Facebook/Ron Campbell Music.
Okay, great. My guest has been Ron Campbell from Ron Campbell and the Blues Busters, and you've been listening to Hello World with Mike Cara, as always, probably broadcasting from Macoy, Florida, USA, planet Earth. And please catch us again next time.
Thanks so much, Mike.
Sure.